7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Hello everyone today.
Hey, welcome.
And welcome to our Christmas Cracker special. So Tim.
Hey, who's removed? I had a note about not using job titles and it's gone from the...
And we can't start off talking about our Word document.
No.
Yeah, we can't.
No, we cannot. So Tim, let's introduce the live stream. Who are we and what are we going to be talking about today?
Hello everybody. I shall not use job titles because Naomi has expressly forbidden the use of job titles. So I'll just say we are the library at the University of Derby. Well, part of it anyway. And we are live streaming today in our Christmas special.
Ta-da! Can we just talk ever so quickly about Christmas stuff? Because Tim, you've got your lights, haven't you?
Yes.
And Alex, and we've all got our Christmas jumpers on. I've got my lights up behind me, but also, wait for it. Oh no! Look, I light up.
Oh, you've got lights as well. And Alex has got a tree.
If that even made it into the
I have
frame,
a polar bear. I have got some stockings.
I'm gonna turn that off.
I have a snow globe somewhere. I've got a snowman.
It's too dark. I can't
snow
see
globe. It's okay. The audience at home can see it.
Okay, fair enough.
But we're not just going to be talking about Christmas and how much we love Christmas here, or as Tim can humbug. But we're going to be talking about advice for Christmas and specifically studying over Christmas today. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We're also going to be talking about reflecting on your previous assignments. And Naomi is going to be doing grammar topic of the week this week. And she's going to be talking all about past, present and future tenses, if I am correct.
That is correct.
Are we not having substitutions this match?
We're all here. We've changed the rules to say that more players can play. They do that in football.
Well, to be honest, it's the last game of the season for us. It's the last live stream that we're doing of the year, not the academic year, the actual calendar year. And because of that, we're going to have a long break, so we don't need to rest our star players. We don't need to sub people in and out. We can play a full force team. And
are you saying we're not playing on Boxing Day?
Oh, not this year, Tim.
Oh, good. I'm very happy to hear that.
Cool. So, I think we're going to start off today talking about studying over Christmas, aren't we? And this is a really big topic in my mind because as a student... Yes, Tim.
Topic? What's the topic of the week?
It's a really big topic of the week. I actually had it ready to click on a single button. So, thank you, Steve, for making this new wonderful graphics for us.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Big shout out to Steve that does all our technical stuff. He does amazing things to create stuff for us.
So,
is it playing yet?
It's already played, Tim, but you're seeing a 20-second delay, aren't you? So,
yes.
Our topic of the week this week is all about studying over Christmas. And the reason why we chose this topic this week is because of our own experiences.
Because it's Christmas!
Yes, it is. But also because...
There's no getting past us! We pick up on all these minor details.
Some would say we're topical.
Poor Alex.
As a student...
Sorry, Alex, carry on.
As a student, I wouldn't had a experience within my first year. Well, I underestimated the actual amount of work that could be needed over Christmas. And I had an issue where I had a deadline in for, I think I had one in for the 3rd of January and one in for the 4th of January. And if I'm honest with you, I didn't study over Christmas as much as I should have done. I saw January as a long, distant journey away and not something that was fast approaching. And so I didn't do as much of my work as I could have done, and it meant I ended up doing an assignment a day and getting my lowest ever score on an assignment of 55. And I completely misunderstood that one as well. So we're going to give you some advice now to help you ace studying over Christmas, and we're also going to be using some advice from the peer-assisted learning students, peer-assisted learning leaders, who gave some advice online about slaying Christmas, which I think is an amazing joke. But don't worry, I won't be elfish today, and I won't take all the jokes for myself. Naomi and Tim will be joining in with various jokes throughout. And
we've got lots already, yeah. Can I just point out, by the way, this is a weird Christmas break, isn't it? Because we're basically getting an extra week. Because we're not working next week, but most of the university is already at home, I would think.
Apart from the library's physical buildings, which are staying open, and the online library, which is open all the time.
Only the Kettleston Road library will be open next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We forgot about library news. Yeah.
So yes, very, very weird Christmas and different from ever. So if you see that we do a live stream on this next year, it's something very similar. Our advice will be totally different because we're focusing our advice on this particular Christmas and how you can slay and ace this Christmas. So without further ado, Naomi, I've repeated a joke, haven't I? Without further ado, Naomi, should students actually take a break over this holiday, or should they focus on studying?
So, my answer to this question is going to come in two forms. Alex will be reassured to know I'm going to sing my song because I've written a wonderful song about time management over Christmas. And who doesn't want to hear a song about time management over Christmas? But first, I will give you a proper answer with actual words. Alex has been worrying me. He tried to relegate my song to the end so he could cut it out. And I have insisted on it going in the middle so it cannot be cut out. Right. So, time management over Christmas. Should you study? Should you take a break? And the answer to this is always going to be, it will absolutely depend on your individual circumstances. So if you have no deadlines or assignments due, take a break. If you've got loads of stuff that's due very shortly, you might not want to take such a big break. But the key is always going to be balance. Find that balance that's right for you, to balance between what you need to do and the rest you need to take. That would be my my main advice. Can I sing my song now? I don't know why I'm asking permission. I'm going to sing it. So this is written by myself about time management over Christmas. It's called Jingle Skills. Jingle skills, think about what study you do. Take a break, but don't forget to make sure the balance is right for you. Ooh, jingle skills, take some time to plan. You'll be glad you did when you reach the middle of January. Bam! Don't dash right through your studies in the last 3 days of Yule. Stress and rushing muddies. Management of time is cool. Ho, ho, ho. At the same time, don't forget that you need to have a rest. Get that balance right between your tasks and you'll be at your best. Hey, jingle skills, enjoy your festive weeks. Library content is here throughout the year. The library never sleeps. Alex, why is my Word document on the screen? People are missing the full view of my singing. You better not have muted me as well. Do you put the lyrics up there on purpose so people could see them?
Yes, and I followed them down. Yes.
Did we discuss that in the script?
I did in my head.
I was doing a full-on performance, and you cut out my video feed.
I was dancing. You were just sitting there, Alec, like a
I
stooge.
knew I was on screen. So yes, Naomi, I agree with you very much on your advice. First of all, with the song, the library is open, we're helping, and do make sure to study over Christmas. But secondly, whilst you definitely should have a break over Christmas, it's called the Christmas break for a reason. Do take a break and take a few days off, but do make sure that you actually should be doing some work. So Tim, how can students plan their time so that they can both meet their deadlines and allow that break that Naomi was talking about?
Can I just first acknowledge the beautiful performance by Naomi? That was absolutely brilliant. She's been practicing for weeks, and this was the last time that we've had to listen to Naomi sing the song.
Oh, you don't say that.
Oh, but it isn't.
I can pull it out in August.
Oh no! Oh no!
If you can let us know in the comments.
I'll show you on screen during the outro doing it.
You want more songs? I will happily write a song every week related to the topic that we're studying. Just let me know.
Oh, good.
Songification.
Yes, I also want to acknowledge that these lights, even though they're absolutely amazing, make my eyes tear like nuts because I'm constantly being blinded.
Tim, if you want to turn them off, by the way, go for it.
No, it's fine.
Okay. So to answer the question then, Tim.
Yes, stop it. Yes, Alex, yes, I know what you're going to say. You're so predictable. So, my top tip is an hour a day keeps the pain away. So make sure that you actually work to a certain bit each day so that you can actually stay on top of things, but don't stress too much. An hour is fine, as long as you've already prepared in the weeks before, which we hope that you have done. If you've listened to our content before, you know that you're supposed to be planning ahead and making sure that you've got time to do things. That hour a day will keep the pain away. It really will make a difference. Even if you feel like you're not on top of it, just commit to that hour, because at least if you've committed to that hour, you will then be able to absorb what you need to absorb and do what you need to do to make it true.
Yes.
See, I disagree with that.
Oh, controversy in the live stream.
Because I think I agree with the general point that keep going, doing a little bit what Tim just said. But I also think there is real benefit to taking a full day, 2 days, 3 days of a complete break and just allowing your mind to reset.
Oh,
Tim,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would don't disagree with that. Hey, you can hear me now, can't you?
I can
Yeah,
hear
there's a
you
bit of
now.
desync
I
with
don't
your
agree
camera,
with that,
Tim.
yeah.
Just to let you know. Can you turn your camera on and off, if that's okay?
So
camera?
if
Yeah, just click the camera on and off button and you might fix the desync that way. So yeah,
So if you sit and have a think about what plans you've got over the holiday. So it might be, because again, it's going to be different for everybody. Different people will have different key dates. It might be that Christmas Day itself is really key for you. It might be that it's not. It might be that you've got a big gathering that you want to do on, the 29th of December. Find those key dates that are key for you, set them aside now, and then if you give yourself permission, mentally give yourself permission to not study on those days, then you've not got. So for me as a student, I was always it was the guilt, just the guilt. Because there's no fixed hours to studying, there was always this feeling that I should be working. There's no fixed hours, so every time I wasn't working, I had this feeling I should be working. So for me, giving myself that permission beforehand to say, actually, I've thought about this, I've planned it out. On this day, I am not going to do any work whatsoever, or on this 3 days, or on this 5 days, or whatever fits for you. I am not going to do any work whatsoever, and I give myself permission to do that. And
I agree with that entirely. Yeah, I agree with that entirely, and also it's important to acknowledge. I mean, this year is weird, so our international students probably won't be traveling home because it's difficult. But if you were to travel home, or even you don't need to be international. If you live in Plymouth, it's a half a day's journey at the minimum anyway. So you're going to have to lose that time and take that into account. So yeah, absolutely, you do need to take that time, and you don't need to worry on Christmas Day itself or Boxing Day or whatever day it is you intend to celebrate with family, friends, whatever it is. Take that time. Don't worry about studying. Naomi's spot on about that. Don't get too stressed about it. Have a good time because you actually earned that good time as well. This year especially, it's already been such a weird year. So take that time. Absolutely agree. But an hour a day does keep the pain away.
And I agree with what you're saying there, Tim, as well. Do make sure you take the break, but make sure as well, once you finish taking that break, speaking about the guilt that Naomi felt, do make sure to actually start again. Because I remember I took a few days off, and I felt guilty. It just didn't start. But if you keep it starting and keep it tracking on after that point, actually take those days, do little bits and keep it going. Otherwise, if you seize up, you might not want to start again. And that's the issue I found in my first year, is I just didn't get it going again, because I said, okay, I'm going to take the Christmas time off. And then on the 27th, I was like, oh, it's fine, it's in January, I'm not going to start. 28th, so on. And every day I felt more and more guilty, and the pressure built up, and I couldn't estimate how much work I had to do. And then on the 1st of January, I went, oh bother, and realised how much stuff I had. And then there was a rush, and one assignment was done in a day, and it wasn't great. Secondary to that point, Tim, you were talking about travelling, and something that usually I felt as a student was, as soon as I got back to Derby, because I used to live in the halls and accommodation in Derby, I could focus again and get on with things because my family were a distraction. I couldn't study at home. Whereas now I have a study place to study at home, whereas before I didn't. I'd literally be sitting on the kitchen table. But now we're studying from home, I have that desk. But I would only really get in the study mode when I was back there. And so I found myself constantly battling between getting back to where I needed to go to. And now just try and focus on working where you can. And if you end up going back to the accommodation, if you are someone who lived in the accommodation, then do try and do stuff when you're at home as well, and that'll help prepare you and keep yourself planning and ticking over the time. So I've talked about then one barrier there, which I found, which was the fact that I wanted to study in a place where it was quiet and there was more family around and things like that to distract me. People were off and just couldn't focus. But there are a few more barriers that people might face over Christmas. So Tim, what barriers do you think there might be to studying over Christmas, and how might you overcome some of them?
Ooh, there's so many, isn't there? First of all, again, I want to acknowledge how weird a Christmas this is. The fact that it's just, nobody really knows how to plan this Christmas. I've just had this weekend, my family in the Netherlands, they've announced a big lockdown yesterday. and it led to about 300 messages in WhatsApp to discuss how we're going to do this, what we're going to do. It's just really difficult to plan anything this year, and I think that's really difficult for everybody. And I think that's really something that you have to acknowledge, because if you don't acknowledge that it's difficult, then it'll play in your mind that you can't see some family members, or so make sure that you actually acknowledge that and work with it. Then the other thing is that you get this all these social events, I suppose. Are they going to happen? How are they going to happen? It's quite a tricky thing as well. So I know for a fact that this year I'll be on Google Meet, as we are now. I'll be on Zoom. I'll be on Teams, meeting with people that way, and it's going to be a really different experience. But try and plan those in and actually take the time for those as well. It's actually really, really important and very beneficial for you to talk to people that you would normally talk to around Christmas. I know I've got family members that I only see at Christmas, not this year, obviously. And it's nice to be in touch with them anyway and talk to them and have a quick chat with them. So I think that's really important. But do acknowledge, overall, it's going to be a weird Christmas, and it might be your advantage. You might actually feel that you have more time to study this year than you normally would have, and that might be a benefit. So try and think of it positively and give it a positive spin for yourself, I would say.
Yeah, we try and be positive this Christmas. It's going to be a special Christmas this year, a Christmas that will live long in the memory because of the differences. And do make it special and slightly different. And as Tim said, it might be the Christmas of Zoom, Google Meet, Teams and Skype calls and so on. And so if you are doing those things, try to study around that and try and do different studying around it. Even if it means it's the Christmas of screens, try and find ways to study outside of those as well. So, Naomi, can I just come to you? Is there a particular barrier that you think there is to studying at all?
Is this where you put my name next to childcare?
I mean, yes, it is. Unless you want to talk about another one.
No. So, I have been nominated to talk about children being a barrier to study, which is a topic that I
can't talk about that
for a long time. Do you know I did start doing an online master's degree, and basically the reason that I stopped can be summed up in the word children. No, it is difficult. Term is finishing. My little girl finishes term tomorrow. She's then got Friday off and the fortnight after that. It does have an impact on what I can do about the house, and in terms of work, study, all that kind of thing. It is a real impact, and I don't really think I can give any advice because everyone's situation is different. So this is what I say for everything. Everyone's challenging situations, particularly at this, and difficulty screen, didn't we?
We did.
We're just continuing, Alex. We're still here.
But I couldn't hear you, and the audio's coming through what I can. Alex is back. Hello. Hopefully, people of the internet can hear Alex again. Reconnected.
Tim, in the chat, just rain Staffordshire. What does that even mean? Yeah.
It's the rains.
It means that it's raining Staffordshire.
Okay, everything looks like it's back
some words
on
there.
Track. So I'm going to transition
and
back.
People can hear us, Alex.
Yeah, people can hear us.
Oh, excellent. Good.
I think so. I'm just going to test the in the thing, but it looks like we should be back.
Oh no, he's gone again.
Yeah,
but that's a really big delay.
Yeah, and it's gone spinny wheel again.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Spinny wheel.
Oh dear. Oh. Spinny wheel's gone.
Oh.
I think I'm back.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay.
I froze there.
No.
You were back, and then Naomi and I froze. Oh, this is very exciting.
It's exciting.
It is very exciting.
Okay, I think we're back. OBS says it's okay. My internet says it seems to be okay. YouTube says it's not receiving enough things, but it seems like it should be okay now. So,
good.
Back to
you just did that because you like the technical difficulty screen.
And thank you, Steve, for creating a new technical difficulty screen for us. Much appreciated. Very well timed. So thank you very much. And it's actually Christmas themed as well. It's amazing with Santa and Rudolph. Is it Santa in it? I think it's Santa. Anyways, hopefully everyone who was watching at home enjoyed the new technical difficulty screen.
Give my summary point that I was making. I won't give the whole point again, but my summary point was be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Is that not Ellen and others and each other? No, that's Jerry Springer, isn't it? Who knows?
And do lock your children outside or in a cupboard
No,
Every now and then.
we had discussions about this. No.
Do not do
Be
such a
kind to
thing.
yourself. Be kind to the others around you.
Okay.
Okay, so the piece of advice that I had to talk about was all about Christmas fatigue, and by that I mean about seeing a lot of people doing lots of things on screens, and also the fact there's a lot of events in a short period of time with Christmas, New Year's, all the days in between, which basically just feel like chocolate-filled days where you're just eating like whatever the scraps are. So my advice for dealing with Christmas fatigue is just like we said earlier, just keep going in those days. Do make sure you do work and try to keep in your head what you've got to do and what's left, and that way you'll have a bit broader picture. If you forget about what there is left and you haven't planned out what piece of advice, what things you've got to work on and what you've got to do and what your next steps are, it can become overwhelming, and that time really counts, because that's actually, I think it's 5 days between Boxing Day and New Year's, and often those 5 days just, it's so easy not to do any work and just get caught up in social event after social event, after Christmas meal, after online quiz, and so on. So do make sure, as Tim said earlier, keep getting work done, and that's a totally understandable barrier, but do try to make sure you do a little bit here and there, and you keep in mind what you need to do and have an overall plan, even if you end up changing that plan later down the line.
And acknowledge Naomi's point that she quite rightfully made, that there are days where you just don't have to do anything and you should just enjoy the experience. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk a bit about working during the Christmas period, because it turns out I'm the only one with that experience.
That's not the case. I worked over the Christmas period as well.
Okay.
Work and study over the Christmas period at the same time, right?
Yeah, so it's about balancing
No, I
having a
haven't done
job.
Yeah.
See, it's about balancing having a job, having a study, and having that Christmas period. So I've actually worked quite regularly over Christmases, New Year's, and things like that. And all I can say is, your job is important. You need to make sure that you do the job at the hours that you're contracted to. So I used to work as a what do we call it, weekend coordinator over at the University of Sheffield, for example, and we had to make sure that things kept going on and that students were able to access the service in a normal manner. And that requires you to do your job, and you can't shirk away from that. So just make sure that you know and understand that those hours that you contract to do are important. We all need to make a living, and that is something that you need to work on. So that does make the whole balance a bit more difficult, especially with the assessment season coming up in January. So you need to make sure, again, and I suppose this advice now is a bit too late, but if you know that you're going to be working over Christmas, plan ahead. Planning is so important to make sure that you actually are successful in achieving what you want to achieve. And then I wanted to address just one more point, if I can, and that's that it's important to acknowledge for the three of us, but as university as well, that Christmas isn't necessarily fun for everybody. So make sure that you check in with your friends and people that you normally have a contact with at uni. Make sure that you have a quick chat with them just to see if they are okay. If you know that someone has a tough time over Christmas, reach out and just make it a bit more palatable, and if necessary, talk about something completely different. You could talk about Naomi's wonderful singing. You could talk about playing.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Chess.
Regardless of anything else, tell your friends about the song.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things, and I will share as a personal thing, I'm not someone who enjoys watching the telly or anything like that. So my entertainment is, a lot of it is online, it's reading, things like that. That period over Christmas, a lot of the things that I usually do during the week sort of disappears. So the YouTube shows that I follow weekly or things like that, they just stop because it's all about Christmas. And I find that personally quite annoying. I'd rather just have that normality and keep that regular pattern going, and that's not possible. So yeah, keep that in mind. Just reach out to people, have a quick chat with them, and see if they're doing well. Especially those that have a tough time over Christmas. It's not always fun for everybody.
I totally agree with that. So do make sure to check in with your friends, and also that can help you to brainstorm ideas. If you've got any exams and such coming up in January, you can talk to them about exams and or other more fun things if you want to. But speaking to other people, the next section of our talk is all about some advice given to us by the peer-assisted learning leaders. And they've come up with some advice for, I believe it's slaying the Christmas period. And I think it's just worth, briefly, before we go into what those tips are, Naomi just introducing who the peer-assisted learning leaders are and what they do.
Yep, absolutely. We talk about them a lot, actually, because they're such a great bunch of people. So the university has a peer-assisted learning scheme. The peer-assisted learning leaders are all current students who are a bit further on in their degrees, and they are here to support first-year students, to give that peer support to students who are just starting their degrees. And that's confused me because Tim's disappeared. I should be pretending this isn't happening, but it has, and it's thrown me. So the peer-assisted learning leaders are there to give support to students in their first year. It's that peer support. It's somewhere you can go to ask questions that you don't want to ask to anyone else, that you want to just ask a fellow student, a peer. So if you've not joined your peer-assisted learning team, do check out that on the Union of Students website.
Yes, and you can find them on the Union Students website, which I've got here, which is derbyunion.co.uk, and you can find it on their website. I think if you go to advice, it might be here, or, sorry, is it in change or get involved? It's within change. So if you go to change, and then peer-assisted learning is here, and you can find out all about the scheme and how you can get involved and how students can help you. The peer-assisted learning scheme, on a side note, is an amazing scheme. I was part of it before I started working at the university, and essentially they come up with lots of tips from a student perspective, so they can weigh in on their own experiences of, for example, on here, studying about Christmas. And so with that in mind, I'm just going to run over very quickly some tips that have been provided by the peer-assisted learning students to help you over Christmas. And if you want any more information about these, I'm going to post a link into the chat in just a moment. Actually, I'll do it right now. So here's a link to where you can find these various tips, and it's in the chat, and afterwards I will put it in the description of the live stream too. So the first tip that they give about studying over Christmas, or as they put it, slaying this Xmas with these top tips, is to keep yourself prepared. So prepare a list of what you need to do, whether it's revision, practical tasks, assignments, and so on, and try and work on completing those. They then talked about planning them, so prioritising the different deadlines you've got and the work you need to do. And I think they've talked about there just a little bit about how with exams, you still got exams coming up, and so you may still need to do a little bit of work for the exams to help you revise for them. But if you've got assignments due in first, maybe you could prioritise them first, so that you're not submitting things at the last minute, just like I did when I was in my first year of university. The third piece of advice that they have is about partying, well, sort of. And they've discussed about how there's no shortage of ways to treat yourself by partying, but you can't actually party in person this year. So do make sure to have a break, and that can help you feel a bit more motivated.
How many mince pies are consumed in the UK every Christmas period?
I don't know, but I got it right in the Christmas quiz yesterday, Tim, by using metagaming.
I think it was 380 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, I worked out there was about 6 Christmas pies per people, or something like that, and chose the closest one.
I do not like mince pies.
Oh, bad.
A nice food.
I had an amazing one yesterday from a retailer who I won't acknowledge on here, but it was amazing. Probably I don't used to like them either, so they're very nice. So
Waitrose.
I don't shop at Waitrose, Tim. I don't have that sort of money.
Max Spencer.
I'm only a recent graduate, Tim. Anyways,
Was it Aldi?
No, Tim. I'm not acknowledging who they were. I'm not acknowledging who they were.
Now, was it Asda? If we go through all of them, it's fine. Tesco.
Tim, I'm not going to acknowledge who they were. Anyways, so just go back to something that the peer-assisted learning piece of advice. Another piece of advice they had is about keeping in touch, both with your friends, with your course mates, and they've given you the option to use the peer-assisted learning team sites as one of the ways to reach out to your people in your course and ask each other questions, because of the benefits of learning together, especially for revising for exams. And students can help you with studying over Christmas, especially if you're struggling, because as Tim said earlier, not everyone enjoys Christmas, and some people do struggle with it. The next piece of advice they've got is about being realistic. And whilst you may think you can finish all your work before Christmas Day so that you don't have to do work over Christmas, be realistic. Try and think about what you can do and don't overwork yourself. Otherwise, that can cause stress, anxiety, and other issues. They've also, again, continued their advice about enjoying yourself, have fun over Christmas. It's been a difficult term so far, so do make sure you have fun. They've also recommended snacking on proper food, so don't just snack on junk food, although it's very tempting to have lots of things like chocolate and cakes over Christmas. Do make sure when you're studying to have proper food that'll help you. They've recommended fish, seeds, yogurts, blueberries. They've also suggested that chicken and eggs can be good, but if you are...
Were those two different things? Fish and seeds? No, fish seeds.
Fish. Yeah, there's a comma in between. Fish, seeds, yogurts, and blueberries.
So we're all clear.
Could be coffee, yeah?
They've also... They said if you are vegan, though, that other things can help, such as having lentils, seeds, nuts, cabbage, and also broccoli. So those things can help as well.
And brains.
And the final two pieces of advice relate to having breaks. So they've said about taking regular breaks. We talk all about that, and we've done lots of podcasts about recommending they take breaks and study and why it's really important. So we would, again, help you to take breaks. But don't just take breaks where you just sit inside or watch YouTube. Take breaks from your screen. Go outside on walks. Winter walks can be really nice. Maybe not when it's raining as much as it is now, but winter walks can be nice, especially when it's drier. But do try and take different breaks. And finally, they've advised taking a screen break for at least 20 seconds for every 20 minutes of work you do for your eyes. So look away from electronic device for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. So those are some really good pieces of advice. I've not gone into full depth with all of them. They've written such a lot of depth on each one. So do have a look at them. I've put the link in the chat for you to have a look at.
Thank you, Alex. So, Alana recommends that you breathe.
That I breathe, yeah. Cheers, Alana. And congratulations,
and I love the
by
fact
the way.
Hi, Alana. Happy Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Alana. I love the fact that you completely went beyond my brain.
Well, I was going to put you on screen, Tim, but the way I've got it set up today, it makes it more complicated. I had to switch to the transition slide to do it because the tab's in this place.
It's funny, though. I'm definitely going to watch one of the most popular Christmas movies this year, 28 Weeks. I love that film. Such a good film. Is that a Christmas film?
Are you saying like 28 weeks later?
Yeah,
that's 28 days later, isn't it? That's a different film, isn't it?
There's two, yeah. No, the sequel, aren't they? 28 Weeks sequel.
I have no idea, Tim. I don't watch zombie films.
Well, brains. Definitely going to watch that. Hey, thank you, Alex. And just to reiterate, by the way, I do genuinely believe that the pals are really valuable, really important. You know, they're there to help you. So use them. It's as simple as that. Lovely Naomi, who's on the screen today, is actually the library liaison for the PAL scheme. So you can ask them all sorts of questions. They will then ask Naomi questions, and Naomi is very good at answering all your questions. So you will get some sensible advice that way.
The problem is, though, if people are watching the live streams, they might not feel that my advice is going to be so sensible. But I assure you that when I'm asked to give advice on a sensible manner, I can do sensible.
Surely by now, our regular viewers know that the live stream is a balance of sensible and silly fun.
That's
sensible.
True.
Tim, silly fun. Naomi, in between.
Well, are you calling yourself sensible, Alex?
Alex is clearly the most sensible one of the three of us.
He's also the youngest.
I am also the youngest.
Yes.
So
where do we go next, Alex?
So I've given the pals piece of advice, but I have one more piece of advice I want to give about studying over Christmas, and that is not just look at your exams, not just look at your upcoming assignments over this time, but also use this time to have a look back at your previous semester and the feedback you've got so far. So some courses will have already got some feedback from their assessments. So if you had an assessment in November, you might be getting your feedback either now, or you've had it recently, or you're going to get it soon. Make sure over this time to have a look at that feedback and try and use it to develop yourself going forward. But not just having a look at the feedback, also having thinking about your semester in general. So Tim, why is it important, or how can students be critical and look for ways to improve from the feedback that they're given?
So we talk about being critical quite a lot. You know, we talk about critical thinking, critical analysis. And one of the skills, I think, one of the key skills that you should be picking up when you're at university is to be able to deal with criticism as well. We've already made the point several times in many of our workshops and live streams that being critical isn't necessarily a negative thing, right? People always see, oh, you're being very critical, oh, that means negative. No, it really doesn't equate that. And that's really important to remember, because when your lecturers are actually, I like my new lighting, by the way, just in between. But when your lecturers are giving you feedback, they're not doing that to, pick on you or to make you feel worse or to do anything like that. They are giving you feedback because they know that you can improve in certain areas. And if you take it as such, if you see it as a way to be able to improve, then you will only win from getting good feedback. Good feedback is worth gold, is so important. So if you get good feedback, constructive feedback, feedback that makes you think, then that is positive. That's a benefit. But actually, what do you do with that feedback when you receive it is very important, because you can get feedback and read it. You get your turn it in document back and you look at all the comments. You go, oh, I wish I'd written this word, or I wish I constructed this differently, or I wish I used this source. That's often going besides the point. The thing that the feedback is giving you is a better understanding of the topic, a better understanding of your skills, and something that you should be working on, something that you should be working with as well. And if you're lucky, that if you pick that feedback up properly and take it forward into your next assignment period, you can actually benefit immensely, because you've actually learned what your lecturers are looking for. And if you apply that, if you make that happen in your work, you're going to get a better grade. It's as simple as that. So if your lecturer says your referencing is very sloppy, for example, that's something you can easily work on. Go to Cite and Write, have a look at that, use it properly, and make sure you don't have that sloppy work. But if the lecturer says that your references are too much based on websites, for example, because they feel that you've just been Googling an answer and you've used that content to provide your critical analysis, then you know that you need to do better with the sources that you use, and you need to go on and actually find proper journal articles, proper books to claim the ground that you are trying to claim. So you can really, really pick up a lot from feedback, and it's really important that you do as well. One of the things that I'll never forget was when we did communication in the Netherlands during my first degree. One of the things I was told, and I actually am very conscious that I'm probably doing that now, was to slow down my voice a bit and not worry about breathing, just like Alana just said to Alex as well. It's something that doesn't come natural, because you feel you want to get the point out and your brain is racing to get the point out. So when you're presenting, you're probably going to speak too quickly. Well, you can slow that down if you become conscious of that, and if you actually take that feedback to heart and start implementing it in going forward. If you get feedback and you don't do anything with it at all, you just leave it as is, then you're not going to learn, because you've not moved on from what the lecturer was trying to tell you. And you have to acknowledge as well, final thing, I suppose, that your lecturer is subject expert. They know what is required in the field that you want to work in the field that they are specialized in. They know what is important to you as a student to take away from university to make sure that you can get a career that you want to have. And you need to learn from that benefit. That's worth gold. And you need to accept that that is worth gold. And it's not meant to make you feel worth less. Mm-hmm. So do absolutely take that on board.
I totally agree with that, Tim. I see university as this journey, and the idea is that when you start in your first year, you aren't perfect, and you can't write at the standard you'll be writing at in your third year. And the only way to get there is through practice, learning, but also feedback and making mistakes. As Yoda said in Star Wars, failure, the greatest teacher is, because failure and making mistakes is the way that you can learn to fix those things. I remember in my second year, I did an assessment, and in that assessment, I got absolutely slated for my references and for various things, and I got a ton of feedback, and I felt like I had done so badly when I read the feedback initially. I was like, oh my god. But then I looked at my mark and realised I got a 60. That's not bad. That's not terrible. Like, the way I read the feedback, it was like I failed the assignment, but I hadn't. And often I've got 70 plus an assignment, and I've got loads of feedback and ways to improve. And when I initially read that emotively, on the day that I first got it, especially that 61, I remember I just wanted to shut my laptop and not read it. And it felt horrible. And then I looked at my mark and was like, wait. I got a 60 and got this. So when I looked back at it a few days later, I could pick apart that feedback and all the ways my lecture had, in my eyes, slated me, I could use them to improve. And by using them, taking them on board, the next assignment with that lecturer, I did better.
Not only that, because I really recognise what you said there, I didn't get the grade I wanted, I'm not even going to read the feedback.
That's how I felt.
A lot of the time, when I used to mark, unfortunately, thank God I don't have to anymore, but when I used to mark, I would also make comments about stuff I really liked, right? So if you're not reading your feedback, you don't know that I think you made a really strong point, or that you presented it really well, or, if you miss that as well, you don't get the positives. So if you decide that all feedback is negative, because that's the way that we sort of seem to think in society, then you're missing out on the good feedback, on the positive feedback as well. And knowing what you're good at is actually really important, because if you know that you're good at something, you know that you spend a bit less time on that, or you can actually make it a real strength of something that you're writing, something that you're doing. So very important to acknowledge both good and bad in the feedback as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then to use that feedback to take it forward for something positive. So, Naomi, why is it important that students have that positive future focus on their feedback, and how can students do that?
You've both been talking about this a lot because it's such an integral part of the whole reflecting process anyway, is what you do with that, where you take it to that next step. And that's so important, that you really take your feedback that you've received and do something with it, because that is how you are going to improve. That's how you're going to do better next time. I'm a big fan of an action plan. I love an action plan, and writing something down in that formal way can really help to organize your thoughts of what you are wanting to do. It can help you remember them, so you can look back at your action plan and think, you don't need to do the whole reflection again. You've got your action plan, you know what those points are. You can look back at that and remind yourself, and you can hold yourself to account over that as well. So you can look back, and a good action plan will have time frames in it. It'll have all those things, how you're going to measure success, all those things that will let you look back and say, have I done this? Because reflection is not a one-time process. Oh, no. Reflection continues. So you have your action plan, you can implement that, you go back to your action plan, you think to yourself, you reflect back again, have I done what I've said? Why have I done this? Why have I not done this? What stopped me? What's really helped me? That constant process, and will really help you throughout your studies. I think I have a reflective action plan template on our reflection skills guide that we might look at later. So keep an eye out for that. I've put a template up there that you can download and use, or take as inspiration, or do whatever you want with, to put together an action plan in a very reflective manner. So it really is such a key point of reflection, and really helps you move then on to that next step.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That future focus and the actual trying to get actions. What I like to think about, like you just said, is reflection is a cycle. It's something that continues. And just like I said, university is a journey. One of the ways that you can get through that journey, go up and up and up, is by reflecting and continuing to think about and constantly going back and checking that. Because let's say we were given feedback in your first year about that you're not being critical. So you think, okay, I'm going to watch one of the skills team's videos, or one of the skills team's great videos about critical thinking. And then you try and implement that into your work. You then need to assess, actually, has that worked? And reflect on that. And then when you then submit your next assignment, continue to think, okay, has that worked? And if not, what else can I do to try and make it work? Because just suggesting one potential solution doesn't necessarily mean, if you do that it will actually fix the issue.
In summary, everybody, studying at university is like being on a reality TV show. You're going through a journey. Because that's what they always say. But it's true. Like, say your favourite... Alex and Tim are looking very sceptical at this point.
No, I wasn't. I was thinking about something.
So think of your favourite reality TV programme. Let's take one where there are different stages. It's a competition. People being voted out. You're going on that journey. And the people there, they learn things, don't they? They think about the feedback they get from the judges every week. They take it on board, and they implement that for their next round.
Are you talking about that Alan Sugar show?
That's The Apprentice. Well, that's the one in the UK anyways. But there's also Strictly. They do that a lot there as well, in terms of giving feedback and reflecting on it. Strictly Come Dancing, which I see before.
That's not a reality TV show, is it?
It's like that. They sort of...
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. They're always saying they're going on a journey. They're always saying they're going on a journey.
Brother?
I don't
People
know what
go
that
on a
is.
journey through Big Brother. Did they do much reflection in Big Brother? I'm not sure. I've
Obviously
not watched much Big
Well,
Brother.
in Strictly Come Dancing, for example, they do. They constantly get feedback, and they're expected to improve using that feedback and take it on board, and they just really like it. And same with you at Marcus, they will see your progression over the years. And if you look back at your work from your first year, now you probably think, I submitted that? What? Ooh, that looks terrible. That's what I feel when I look at my first year work, and I'm sure other people feel that too.
So just make, before we move on, an action point for our lovely viewers, right? We're not quite in the Christmas break yet because we've still got 2 days to go after this. Have a look at your feedback. Log into course resources. Go into your modules that you know that you've learned from or not learned from, and have a look at your feedback again. You know, there's nothing wrong with going back and having a good look at things that you liked and didn't like and all that. So yeah, do that. Action point. Action point. We need a action point.
We do.
Action point of the week.
That's our new reflection, how to improve our live streams going forward.
Yes.
But speaking about what Tim just mentioned then, which is looking at feedback, that isn't the only way that you can reflect on your journey. So your lecturer will only give you feedback on the assignment and what you've given to them. They won't see what went into that assignment, the processes, the steps, things like how you organised yourself, how you time managed. They might not know that you did all the work on the deadline, or they might not know that you did that when you submitted early and how early you had everything ready. What I'm saying here is, instead of just relying just on their feedback, reflect on your own actions and your own activities throughout the semester. So things you can reflect on include things like your time management. How were you feeling? Were you stressed? Was there a lot of work in certain weeks? I know with my time management in some of my years, I had what I called hell weeks, where I had loads of things in certain weeks. So I thought, okay, how can I avoid that happening? And I worked on making that happen. Other things you can improve on, like how you take notes, how you organise yourself and your research, make sure you don't lose things, how you write, and the assignments themselves. So do have a look at various things back on your own, in your own time, and reflect on them and think, okay, how is this? How did I feel? How can I improve? And Naomi has made really, really useful things, a guide called Reflect on Your Experience, which I'm going to show now actually, that students can use.
I just want to say sorry for disappearing. It's the cat. She needs to come in and out of the room, so I have to open the door for her.
That's okay.
Last week I tweeted about the cats, and you both said there's not going to be a problem with the cat. This week you've gone up and down twice for the cat.
It's true.
So,
Yes.
But she'd be upset if I didn't let her in and out.
That's true.
So what? It's a cat.
You have to appease the cats. So I'm going to show you now the reflective writing guide for reflective experiences, reflecting on your experiences that can help you reflect over this Christmas period. So from the library homepage, I just showed you there, scroll down to find subject information and then click on it. From there, scroll down to skills guides on the right hand side and scroll down to reflective writing. And in here is a guide called Reflecting on Your Experiences. A page that you can use called Reflecting on Your Experiences with various questions that you can ask, and a live stream there with Tim and myself. And Naomi was in that one as well. And there's various documents you can use here that can help you to reflect on various activities to go forwards and to improve yourself. And I think those are really useful because, like I say, university is not all about being perfect when you start. In reality, it's about becoming better and better as you go and improving, because that's the way that the university is marked as well. University is marked on the basis that you have... currently it's marked this way anyways. None of the grades in your first year count towards your final degree. In your second year it's 20%, in your third year it's 80%. And that is there for a reason, because as you progress, you become more of your final self, and that's what you want submitted, because you will improve if you take on board that feedback. No one starts perfect.
The reflection action plan was there as well.
It was.
Oh, I thought I was off screen when I was
You're
faking.
on screen, Tim.
I got caught.
I don't think you got caught. I don't think it got seen.
It did, I could see myself. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Apologies,
I'm
Tim.
really upset
Sorry, I
now.
always dislike it when people put me on screen without telling me, and then I just do it to you guys over and over again.
I'm still upset that you took me off screen whilst I was singing.
You know. That's
Anyway,
what I
we
need to
apologise.
reflect on.
Alex, I just want to say, I don't know how you two feel, but I really miss our little studio. I know you've been recently, but I love our little background that we made with Diana and with Catherine, with all the funny animals. And Diana, being Diana, had decided that we needed a background with grumpy animals because she had a grumpy cat. And I just love that. I miss that. We need to get back to that at some point this year, don't we?
There have been new plants as well, because all my plants died.
We do need new plants.
So, speaking about, similar to reflection, how I was talking about reflecting in the past on past events.
Oh, don't try and pull this in.
I am
Alex.
pulling it in.
Just say it's grammar topic of the week. Don't.
I've got so used to it. I'm just giving up on it now.
And how you can reflect on the things in the past, but also reflect and take actions to the future. Naomi's now going to talk about grammar topics, and talking about how you can use past, present, and future tenses. And I
Naomi
will
looks
pull it off.
really upset about this. I don't know if she's going to.
I am, of course, I'm going to. I wouldn't miss out on grammar topic of the week. Yes, as Alex says, and very much related, obviously, to everything that we've done thus far. Actually, no, because I'm going to put it into Christmas. It was a Christmas-themed grammar topic of the week. I'm going to talk to you about A Christmas Carol, which is beautifully out of copyright, I believe. So we can talk about it as much as we like. So, A Christmas Carol, written by Charles Dickens. You may or may not know the story. I'm not going to go into detail of it, but the main character Scrooge is visited by 3 ghosts. He is visited by the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmases yet to come. And I would like to propose to the world through this YouTube channel that we actually change the way we talk about tenses to talk about past tense, present tense, and the tense that is yet to come. Does that not sound better? I think that sounds so much more exciting.
I think we need a referendum. I think that's definitely what we need to implement nationally, yeah.
So, very briefly then, past tense is when you are talking about things that have happened previously, present tense is when you are talking about things that are happening right now, and future tenses are when you're talking about things that will happen in the future. I'm not going to go into grammar rules or anything because it can get quite complicated, but anyone that studied languages will know that verbs, for example, have different forms in different tenses. The key point that I want to make with regard to your academic writing is, as a general rule in your writing, pick a tense and stick to it. So this isn't relevant to all things that you're writing about, but let's go back to Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol. If you are writing about stories, a novel, for example, if you're writing an English essay and you're writing about characters in a novel, you might talk about them in the past tense. So Scrooge was visited by 3 ghosts. You might say Scrooge is visited by 3 ghosts. You might talk about those characters in different ways. It could be perfectly possible, I guess, what I'm saying, to talk about those characters in the past tense or in the present tense. But if you're going to do that, make sure, like I say, that you pick one and stick with it. The same goes for, I was thinking, if you had done some research or you were talking about case studies. So you might say participant X was a 50-year-old man. You might say participant X is a 50-year-old man. Past tense, present tense. Doesn't matter which you pick, I would say, but the key thing is that if you talk about participant X in the past tense, you talk about participant Y also in the past tense. So pick a tense, stick to it, and votes for past tense, present tense, and the tense that is yet to come.
I'm against. It's too long.
Do you think? Oh, but it sounds so much more exciting.
I like
the word counts will go up,
Well, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, you're true. It does add to the word count. I like that. The only part which I would write in the future tense though is a separate paragraph. So just to clarify what you're saying in my own head. So if you talk about something like a case study, you're talking about past because it's happened in the past. So if you do talk about it in the past, stick to it. If you're talking about it in the present, then do stick to that one as well. But later on in the essay, so I often have a recommendation section in the reports that I write. I often do their recommendations a little bit in the future tense, so I suggest what I want to happen. So it's not happening what I want to happen in the future. And I tend to write that in the future tense, at least I think I do.
Yes, so I wouldn't say use the same tense religiously throughout your essay without changing it for any reason. What I'm saying is if you're doing the same things repeatedly, like talking about different characters in a novel or talking about different people in a case study, then use the same tense to talk about that. There will be times when you'll be using the future tense, absolutely, or the tense that is yet to come. Depending on what you're writing. I don't care if nobody else is going to vote for me in this one. I'm just going to keep on using the tense that is yet to come.
It sounds really good though. It just isn't very. It's not very short, but it sounds very good.
It's almost like it was quite a lyricist, this Charles. What did you say his name was?
Dickens.
Oh, him. Yeah.
Was it the
I have
Christmas
to-
quiz
I-
that we had yesterday, Tim?
I'm never
honestly
sure
going
when
to-
Tim's joking with things like this.
I'm going to admit now that I have read Charles Dickens twice in my life, and I got utterly bored with it twice in my life, and that was the end of that. Victorian writing is just so tedious.
So
It really is.
we've
That's
had.
what's
So,
her name on the hill in Yorkshire? What's her name? You know this, Naomi. He was really famous. He writes about love with Count such and such, and what was her name? Come on. You had the Bronte sisters.
Emily
and he had-
Bronte,
Yeah, and then you had another one who was also a famous female author, Jane Austen.
Jane
Ugh,
Austen.
boring. Ugh. Bronte,
Okay.
boring.
My
So-
mum is obsessed with Jane Austen. She loves
Yeah.
Jane Austen. I'll tell you what sums up my attitude towards Charles Dickens. One of my favourite books that I've ever read, genuinely, is Bleak House. I read it because I did a law degree. In my law degree, my lecturer said to us, if you want to go for a job in the city in law, you will need to have read Bleak House to be taken seriously. Alex is pulling faces now.
I've not
Bleak
been
House-
told that. But is that why
It's,
I never got a job in law?
Read Bleak House. I loved it. It was a brilliant book. I absolutely loved it. I am never going to read it again because it was too long. I really
You know
enjoyed the time that I read it. I'm not going to read it again. That sums up Dickens for me.
I read Tolstoy and Solzhenitsyn, and it's far more dynamic than any of the British Victorian authors. There, that's my statement, and I'm sticking behind it.
So,
But whilst we're doing that, we are going to make a quick segue because we're talking about reading. And actually, one of the best things you can do over the Christmas holiday, in my opinion, is pick up a book and read it. So, which book are you going to read this Christmas holiday? Shall I start with you, Naomi?
Well, you can do. I've got no plans to read
Good
any
job.
books over the Christmas holiday. I'm very sorry. I'm going to be doing my crochet, so I'm going to be reading my crochet patterns.
Ah.
But I've not got a book on the go at the moment. I really don't. I'm getting more into non-fiction though. In terms of my reading, I'm getting more into non-fiction. I want to pick up
I am
on
as well, yeah.
mindfulness. I'm late on jumping on the mindfulness bandwagon, I have to say, but I want to pick up on that.
okay. Well, the book that I'm.
What book?
Have you all frozen for me? You frozen for
I
me?
can hear you, Alex.
Okay. Well, Tim's completely frozen, so that's okay,
Tim
by
looks
the way.
okay.
Bye, Tim. So, the book that I'm reading this Christmas is His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, which is well, it's not actually that, it's The Northern Lights as part of the His Dark Materials series. I've nearly finished, actually. So I'll be reading the second one. It's currently on TV. It's called The Subtle Knife. But that's what I'm reading. That's my plan. That's my break.
I'm going to be reading this. This is a Dutch author, Frank Westerman. My lights are really screwing that up. It's called Wij de Mens, We the People. And Frank Westerman is an author from my neck of the woods in the Netherlands. And it's non-fiction. He actually writes historical novels based on research that he's done to get to the bottom of things. And this is supposedly quite a nice text on reflecting on mankind and what is mankind, what makes a man man. So it's quite philosophical. I've got a doctorate in philosophy and I can't say the damn word. Anyway, it's quite philosophical and I'm looking forward to that. It's been on my shelf for 4 months now. It's about time it gets read this Christmas.
Mm-hmm. So, I think I'm just now reading the live stream plan again, and I'm just thinking, shall we sum up?
What a surprise, Alex! You reading the live stream plan?
Yes.
Never.
I'm just thinking, shall we do a quick summary of the key piece of advice that we given in this live stream? If you want, we can do a roundtable, or I could just say what it is. Do you want to do a roundtable, Tim?
Let's just say that we don't get a choice, Alex, so you get to give us a summary.
Okay. I shall give you a summary. So, in my opinion, the key pieces of advice that we've given today are about make sure this Christmas do take a break, but also try and plan in your schedule the things you have to do and do try and work towards it. As Tim said earlier, do a little bit and often. I couldn't remember the exact quote. Was it a little bit a day keeps the pain away or something like that?
An hour a day keeps the pain away.
Yeah, an hour a day keeps the pain away. So do try to make sure you do it a little bit here and there to keep it ticking. But as Naomi said, do make sure you have time off and have a specific set days that you say, actually, I'm not doing any work today, I'm socialising. Secondly, in Christmas, don't just reflect on don't just spend the time that you have focusing on your exams and upcoming assignments. They're both important, but use this time to focus on how you can improve them using the feedback that you've been given by your lecturers, but also your own reflections on your experiences in the first semester, because you can use both of them to help you improve for the upcoming assignments and for the second semester. And that way you can keep up on this upward trend, because university is all about improving over time, and you can make sure in the second semester you learn from the mistakes and the practice that you did in the first and get better and better. So that is the summary of the live stream. Have either of you got anything you'd like to add to that summary before we wrap up the stream today?
My main thing that I want to say isn't part of the summary. It's a completely new piece of information. Just like we say not to do in your conclusion or an assignment. But what I want to say is just remember. So we've talked about library opening hours, physical library opening hours. The library content that we produce is here for you throughout Christmas. Our YouTube channel is here, unless Google goes down again. But as long as Google doesn't go down again, our YouTube channel is here. Use the search box on the channel itself to search for things on different topics. We've got our skills guides, all sorts that you can access.
Live chat is still available next week, as is the phone and the email.
Yeah. So we're here insofar as we are in person, and that is a lot. And then even when we're not here in person, there's so much available to you online. Ebooks, e-journals, all that, all over the Christmas holidays.
Alex is quickly Googling something.
No, I was just showing everything that we were back, everything that we were doing back again, and we should now be back on thing. Oh, did I mess it up? Oh well, I messed it up.
I don't know. We're 20 seconds behind, so
it looks like I did not click the right buttons. But well, it's fine. We're back on where we should be now. It's Christmas after all. So, the last thing I'd like to say before the end of the stream is just Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you all for watching our content over the last year.
No, not Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Sorry,
Yes.
I put arguments against Merry Christmas as a phrase. That one's on me. Sorry.
It don't work for me. It's okay, because I don't drink alcohol.
That was the point behind saying no Merry Christmas, just for the viewers at home, and because Merry has implications of drinking alcohol.
You have to have a glass of sherry at Christmas and a glass of Baileys.
Or a glass of water.
Or a glass of water.
I'm on pink lemonade at the moment.
Ooh,
very exciting.
Exotic.
Well, it costs like 55 pence from your local supermarket. It's a lot cheaper than alcoholic drinks.
Guys, I've just had a Teams call that I have to go to.
I had one as well that I just completely ignored. I just hung up.
Who was
Are we going to end the stream?
Mark?
Yeah.
Why are they all calling us when they know we've got a live stream?
No idea. Anyways, we've not got a live stream anymore, and thank you very much for watching our live stream throughout 2020. It's been amazing, and we are going to be coming back in 2021.
Whether you want us to or not.
No, I think it'll be the second week. I think it's the week starting the 11th that we come back. It'll be on the Wednesday. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to coming back, and I think we all are, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. Tim's waving to say goodbye, and thank you for watching.